What's up guys, today we are looking at the Vibe Shearwater 125. This is a very nice kayak that honestly I've been looking forward to it personally ever since I heard about it. So let's get into its details and just special upgrades that separate it from other kayaks. So right off the bat I want to put these out here. So these flaps, I love the idea of these just because I had such an issue with my rods getting hit. So on most kayaks, what you'll find is these, but only these. So these backwards rod holders, so you'd stick your rods back there, but when you were in a tight environment and you had particularly fast moving water, you don't really have time to pay attention to your rods, and sometimes you can't act fast enough and they get hung up in a tree or they fall out of your kayak into the water, and then you have to clean them and do a bunch of unnecessary stuff. So what Vibe came up with were these channels right here. So this is where the tip of your rods will go in case you have extra rods. They have a longer rail system that your rods can just slide into, or groove, sorry. So your rods are going to slide into here, typically 6 foot rods, or 6 to 7 foot. The rod will end around here. So you're going to let it run all the way over here, so your reels will be on a nice soft pad. They won't be scratching up the kayak, and your nice reels won't be getting scratched up. So right here, if you follow these grooves, you'll put the butt of your fishing rods in these 2 grooves and let them run across there. You have this on both sides, as well as a cup holder, which is a nice touch. So you don't have any messiness on your deck. You can just have your cups right there. Tackle is actually, you're able to store your tackle underneath your seat in this junk drawer. And I love this feature. I just love accessibility on the water. I don't like to have to dig around for stuff and just potentially flip over, because I'm kind of prone to flipping over kayaks. So this is a great feature for me. I love the idea, I love the concept, and it has a pretty good execution. The seat, definitely reinforced, really comfortable, really sturdy. Not only that, but it's also ultra adjustable, so you can change its height to 3 settings. So this is currently the medium setting. You can set it to low, which you would slide the seat down here. I'll show you that in a comparison with the Seaghost. So yeah, so this is what this kayak has. When your kayak is fully loaded with all the stuff that was promised on the advertisement, it's gonna look much better than this and function in ways that you could never imagine. So first off, you're gonna have different pedals, you're gonna have a different steering system, you're gonna have a whole bunch of good stuff. So if you look back here, you have a place for a motor, you have a nice space over here, so you could stick a cooler, a bag for tent, camping supplies, tackle boxes, fishing rods, all the stuff you could possibly need. So if you're going on a trip where you need a lot of fishing rods, you have 4 rear facing fishing rod holders, as well as 4 channel holders. Also, if you're wanting to keep your rods close to you, the one that you're fishing with, so you can just grab it right away, it has a nice space underneath that you can slide your rod in and stick it to the front as well. So sometimes whenever you're paddling and you just want to make a real quick cast, but you don't want to give up speed, and you just want to throw 1 cast out there, just one, just right before the night falls, and you don't want to have to stop the kayak and try to reposition yourself just to fish under that one beautiful tree that's, it's just gonna have a big bass under there. Well, that's when they came up with this. So this, you can just get your paddle and slide it underneath there, no problems, no hassle. You don't have to do the classic fumble in the dark and try to get the bungee strap on just right so you don't drop it. And you don't really have to worry about a chain hooked up to your paddle where water's going to be dripping in your kayak, creating a mess. Also, another feature, this one has a detachable box. Actually, all the boxes on this kayak are detachable. It does not have hull storage like the predecessor of the Seaghost, but it does have pretty nice storage. Such as this box, it's a dry box, removable, so that's a nice touch. I feel like they could have opened the hull a bit more, just like the Seaghost, because that's one thing I like, is keeping all your stuff dry inside the kayak. You could stick your fishing rods inside if you're going down rapids and stuff with less risk of damaging them. But this is the Shearwater 125, not the Seaghost, so I'm not going to compare cats and dogs. So you do have 3 hull breaches, one here for a hummingbird or whatever you want to put in there, electronics, lighting, anything. And then you have your but it's pretty much just like it's just a way to get stuff not splashed on. So you could stick your tackle box down there and just pick it up whenever you need it. You also have a place for larger stacks of small tackle boxes, so like you could stick 3 tackles over there, or even a lunch box, who knows. If it's empty space, it's yours to do whatever you want with. You have 2 rail systems, actually 4, sorry, I miscounted there. Your third hull breech will be on the bottom side of the seat, so I'm not sure what you'd want to put in there. If you just want to get in there and do some handiwork with the lines and stuff, try to get them trimmed up and all that, I'm sure you could get in there through that hole. This hole would be for your battery for your motor. We've already gone over this rudder. It's a wonderful idea. But yeah, let's go ahead and get into the comparison. Okay guys, so we finally have the Seaghost and the Shearwater 125 side by side for a nice comparison job. So even though they're completely different kayaks, a lot of the troubleshooting, in my opinion, I believe they troubleshoot a lot with the Vibe Seaghost to improve the Shearwater. So let's begin with the rudders. So like we were talking about this rudder is a gravity rudder. So if you want the rudder to go down, all you do is release the string right here. So when you release the string, gravity pulls it down. When you want the rudder to go back up, you just pull it up and you lock it in place by pulling it down, catching those teeth. However, in complete opposite is with the Seaghost. So when it comes to the Seaghost, if you want the rudder to go down, you have to give it a good hearty pull to let the rudder go down. But if you just need it to go up, all you do is unhook it from these teeth, like so, and let go. Well, oops, it got stuck in the grass. And it pulls up. Works much better in the water. Moving up from there, we're going to go with the handles. So the only handles in the back of the Seaghost are right here, and to be honest, it's not the most comfortable handle to grip, especially when you're walking uphill or to a hard to reach place. It always sucks being in the back. However, with the Shearwater, they decided to help the guy in the back and mold some handles right into here, into the hole, to make it much easier to grab so you're not bumping into the rudder, as well as adding an extra handle if you need to haul it out by yourself. With the bungee straps, they have a clip system that helps you clamp down any boxes or stuff that you just want to hold down easier. It's a much more simple design versus having to jimmy rig something up on the Seaghost or any other kayak brand for that matter. So I do really appreciate those clips. Also, you have 2 extra rod holders on this kayak facing backwards, a little more drastic in angle, as well as 2 free rail systems. And by free, I mean they're not being used, such as the Seaghost, which are currently occupied by bungee straps. These are completely free to do whatever you want with. Stick a GoPro mount for an extra angle, do whatever you want. So moving up, you have the seats. So when it comes to these seats, I have had a little kayak I got at Academy for the longest time, but my brother-in-law introduced me to the Vibe kayaks and got me spoiled with the Seaghost. So I started sitting in this thing, and it's a game changer and a lifesaver. Well, a butt saver, because you can paddle for hours and hours and you won't really feel it. But eventually it will start to get to you. But it's going to take a long time anyways, especially for a difference of a $300 kayak from Academy. Excuse me. You have 2 seat settings, high and low. So if you just want to change it, you bring it down. They're molded into the hole. So you just bring it down, strap it down with these bungees, right here. You have 4 of them, 2 in the front, 2 in the back. And if you wanted a higher vantage point to see better into the water, they had an extra setting, which is the high setting, as well as a space for single tackle box slits that you can stick on both sides. You have a cup holder in the middle section. You have a dry box area with 2 dry box, actually, well, 3, but 2 dry storage compartments, as well as 1 large one for whatever you need to. And I mean, like, you can just do anything you need to with it. Stick a battery in there for your hummingbird or whatever. You also have rail mounts over there, which is a nice touch. It's a nice cockpit. Everything is accessible. You really don't have much to worry about. Moving up to the pedals, just a simple pedal system. If you want the right turn if you want the whole kayak to turn to the right, you push the right pedal, and vice versa. That's pretty much all there is to say about the Seaghost. So in comparison with the cockpit of the Shearwater, starting with the seat, you have a brand new Shearwater seat, and I will say that is the most comfortable seat I have sat in for any kayak. We will further experiment with it on the water. Now remember that this kayak, even though it has just been shipped in today, it is missing a lot of stuff. So number 1, you're missing new pedals, you're missing a pedal system, you're missing a electric motor. That is, if you bought the whole package, you're missing a lot of stuff. So trust me, by the time you get your kayak, your Shearwater out, it should be fully operational, fully loaded, no issues with it. This was one of the first off the lot. It's a very nice kayak, don't get me wrong. And when we get the rest of the pieces in, I'm telling you, this is going to be the nicest kayak that I have ever seen. And my brother-in-law probably will never let me sit in it just because it's going to be too awesome for my own good. But moving back to subject, sorry, I like to chase rabbits. We have a dual tackle storage compartment, so you could stick 2 of those little tackle slits right over here, two, so you could have 4. Perhaps put your spinner baits and top waters on one side, just divide them up. You also have cup holders both sides, so you have 2 cup holders versus the 1 cup holder in the middle. But honestly, in my opinion, I like everything in front of me. But the reason that the Shearwater did not put a whole system right in front of you is because of the pedal system that's going to go right here. So they wanted to give you that extra ability to put a motor or a pedal system. So that's the only reason that they don't have a super decked out cockpit. I do, however, love the junk drawer. The Seaghost does not have that. It does have a space underneath there where you can stick a tackle box or something, but this junk drawer is absolutely amazing. Stick whole, like, this is practically an extra tackle box, snacks or whatever you want. It's just a nice touch. I like it. You also have 3 settings versus actually 4, but we don't have the 4th one yet. So you will get a captain's perch, which will go right on top of here and make a nice solid deck that you can stand on and get an even higher vantage point over the water. But that will be sent in the future. We will do a video on installing and everything that's to come. So back to the seat. You have 3 settings. Just need to open up the locks here, pop it out. You have 2 settings in the back. Slide it down, and if you want this to go even higher, pull this up. Darn it, kind of hard to do this with one hand. They said this kayak is so stable that you can do this on the water. I have not been in a kayak quite that stable, even though Seaghost is a super stable kayak. But this is a very high vantage point, so I am not going to argue with the high vantage point. I love being able to see into that water, especially whenever water gets a little questionable in visibility. It's always nice to have all the extra help you can get. So moving on from the seat, look forward to sitting in something like that. We're going to go with the dry storage here. We have a single dry storage box Just use it for the stuff that you absolutely do not want wet, because you do not have another dry storage container here. The closest thing that you have to dry storage is going to be under this slit. So under the slit is an empty space, but this is pretty tight to the hull, so you won't have an excessive amount of water dripping in, but it still will get a little bit wet. So you do have 3 hull breaches that are not accessible via hatch, but you have to unscrew them and take them off, which is kind of unfortunate in my opinion, because I always like the idea of having a hull that you can use, the entire hull. But this hatch right here is mainly for batteries that you can use for lighting and or hummingbird for fish finding. You also have another hull breach underneath here. That hull breach is so you can work on your lines and make sure everything functions properly, get everything flowing and all greased up, ready to roll. You have another breach right here. This breach is for the trolling motor, so we will do a video when we install that. So moving up from the cockpit, that has been both cockpits and both back sides discussed. Now moving forward or aft the cockpit. So right off the bat, we have a hull breach that's really nice in width. In my opinion, I like to be able to put stuff inside the hull, such as paddles, extra paddles, because I have broken a paddle on the water before and it sucks. And I would like to take another paddle with me without having to worry about it getting in my way. So you can stick camping supplies, fishing rods, just anything that you possibly want to not be damaged. You can just stick it inside the Seaghost, inside the hull, which is a big plus in my opinion. It also has a dry storage bag on top of this hull, so you can store more stuff. It is watertight, and trust me, we put it to the test. We might be doing some water tests pretty soon. We'll keep you posted when it comes to that. Man, I can never get this thing closed. There we go. Nope, that's not it. Yep, that's it. Okay, there we go. Sorry. So going to the Shearwater. Oh, you do have a place on the Seaghost for your pedal, or for your paddle. So if you're trying to hurry up and dock the paddle real quick, you just slide it in here. It's kind of difficult though. I've tried it before and it just ends up with me dropping the paddle off the side. Unfortunate that design did not work better, but they improved on it. They actually added a material strap that's really loose but strong enough to hold your paddle down. So if you're trying to not lose speed and keep paddling, just stick your paddle in there and don't worry about it. So that's a big plus in my opinion. Also, these flaps right here, huge improvements on kayaks. I love this idea. So whenever I went on the water, and the water had a pretty high flow rate, as well as some really low hanging trees and obstructions, my fishing rods did get hung up in trees and pulled out of the kayak, just straight out. And I have dropped several into the water, and it just leads to a whole mess of cleaning them, maintaining them. You have to just do a bunch of unnecessary stuff. So instead of leaving them back here where they're going to get stuck and pulled out and whatnot, beat up, you can stick them right here along this groove. Your reels will go on this soft padding, so you will not scratch your kayak or your nice reels. It will go all the way up, catch right here, so your rods will be nice and safe. If you have an extra long catfish rod or whatever, it's just super long fishing rod, it does have a groove for it that will allow it to go through without having any complications. This will keep it from catching on trees and getting pulled out of the kayak in general. You do have bungee straps that you're able to fasten over your fishing rods. They are a little tight for my taste, but you know what? If it keeps your fishing rod safe, do it. So that's pretty much it for the comparison of the Shearwater and Seaghost. As far as hulls go, they are both really strong hulls. We've put these Seaghosts through a whole lot of trouble, but we will test the Shearwater. Trust me, we will put it to its limit, and we'll let you know how it holds up in the future. Also, one quick feature I forgot to mention was the fact that you can reposition your seat at any time on the water. So all you need to do is tighten these knobs right here, tighten or untighten them. If you want them in the fixed position, you tighten them down, and they're fixed. If you want them loosened or you want to move it further, untighten them and move it forward. And just slide your seat down, and voila. Even if you like to move it a little bit while you're on the water. It has an amazing concept. Can't wait to see what they do in the future.